Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Out of the Blue 2007. I got this movie by mistake. Don White recommended me a movie with the same title. Unfortunately, I got this movie mixed up with the 1980 Dennis Hopper movie that Don White recommended to me. So I ordered this movie instead, thinking this was the one that Don White wanted me to see. Unfortunately, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It kind of reminds me of Rampage, Uwe Boll flick that came out around the same time. But it doesn't have the political correctness, Earth First bullshit. It doesn't have. It kind of has the feel of a TV movie at times, but it does have a lot of blood in it. It's based on a true story, which became a book, and later it became this movie. So it's about this guy who buys a rifle. He gets in an argument with his neighbor, and he starts blasting the guy, and then he lights the house on fire, starts blasting other people. There's this rather keen survivalist grandma lady who's like crawling around in the ditch and doing well to hide herself from the madman. So this goes on for about 24 hours. He shacks up in some house close by to grandma. I don't know if it's the same house. It was unclear. There are a lot of unclear things in this movie. And he just kind of sleeps there after eating some fish out of a can. Then next day he's like walking around. A helicopter picks him up. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but you kind of get the picture of where this film is going. Unfortunately, the Keystone Cops are a little cold feet when it comes to pulling the trigger on this guy. They're all breathing hard and scared shitless. It's like they weren't prepared. They didn't bring Kevlar. So that part was unclear. I think that some of the characters were undeveloped. For instance, the kids in this movie, I couldn't figure out what the relationship was with the mother figure or the stepfather figure. The guy who ended up getting shot, the first victim. Couldn't understand why the police were so chicken shit in the beginning. Why they didn't wear Kevlar. And couldn't figure out why none of these people shot back at this guy. I mean, it seemed like none of them owned guns except for this guy. What else was strange about this movie that I couldn't quite figure out? I can't remember. But anyways, it's not the first time that I got a movie mixed up. I think that that Story of O sequel had a movie with Klaus Kinski, and then there was another one that my Japanese fan recommended that wasn't with Klaus Kinski. So I didn't finish watching that one because it was the wrong movie. I noticed it right off the bat. I didn't realize this was the wrong movie until after I watched the movie. I thought, why would Don White recommend a movie like this? I mean, the heroes are pretty much the grandma and the police, I guess? I don't know. Oh, I couldn't figure out why they just let these people laying on the ground to die. Why they didn't just pick them up and send them to an ambulance before they died? That part was unclear to me also. Just seemed like they weren't prepared, like they didn't know basic emergency training. And one cop in particular, he doesn't pull the trigger even though he's got his scope on the guy. He could have knocked him out before more deaths or injuries or whatever. So I couldn't figure out why he didn't do that. What his rationale was for not pulling the trigger, if he had a rationale, or why he was freaking out. Like he threw up at one point. Like he couldn't handle stressful situation, man. He couldn't handle the stress. If the guy was smart, the crazy guy, he would have just hid out in the wilderness. New Zealand is so sparsely populated, it's hard to find somebody out in the wilderness, especially. I've seen a movie like this before from New Zealand. It's about a different guy who went on a shooting spree, but I don't recall the name of it off the top of my head. Kind of reminded me of that movie and Rampage. So how can you make a great movie when it's just about some guy going crazy? I mean, there's no plot to it really. It has the feel of a TV movie, although it is quite violent. And I don't know. I just don't think you can make a great movie out of a story like this. I couldn't really relate to any of the characters, even the grandma. Because like I said, the characters weren't well developed. Cinematography is pretty decent at times. When you see the coast side, like the background you see behind me, there's like a peninsula or isthmus sticking out. I'm not sure what that's about. I've never seen that before. So that was pretty cool to see the nature shots in this movie. Seems like a place to go if you want to retire, some kind of nature spot, or if you just want to go visit. I don't know much about New Zealand, but apparently Queen Elizabeth II gave the grandma an award for bravery. So I guess if the end of the world was coming, I'd want grandma by my side to help me survive. She's probably not alive anymore. She's got to be in her 100 years old now, but anyways, she does a pretty good job. There are a lot of scenes with her crawling in the ditch, like she's in some kind of war zone or something. So I really don't have much else to say about this movie. I wasn't totally bummed that I made a mistake watching it, but tried ordering Out of the Blue 1980, the other flick, on Netflix. Unfortunately, it's on my save queue, and I have no idea if I'll ever end up watching it in my lifetime. I guess this is Dennis Hopper's first movie since 1971, so he had a 9-year gap there. So too bad I couldn't watch it on Netflix, but whatever. Got the wrong movie. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. It wasn't a great movie. It basically takes place over the course of 24 hours, so there isn't much character development. Seemed a bit long, an hour and 43 minutes. So I'm going to check out the special features now, and then I'll watch The Fall, and whatever other movies Don White recommended for me back in must have been 2010, like 6 years ago. I don't remember, something like that. So I finally got around to watching some of these. I knew this wasn't a Don White recommended film because it just doesn't fall into that mind-bending category. Number one. Number two, it wasn't great like all the other four films that he recommended to me so far that I've actually seen. So I knew something was off, so I decided to investigate further. So the times that I got the movies mixed up were the Story of O sequel. I guess there's a French version, then there's the version with Klaus Kinski. Japanese fan recommended the French version to me, and I thought it was the Klaus Kinski version, so I didn't finish watching it. I just saw the very beginning where the guy's like getting horny in the elevator, and he ends up in some boardroom. She just happens to pop in while they're talking. That's about as far as I got, unfortunately, because I realized right off the bat that it wasn't the movie that I was looking for. But I did follow his recommendation for Miss 45, which was a great flick, Abel Ferrara. Another time was, I think I was looking for a movie called Hellhole, and there was also an Indonesian exploitation flick called Hellhole, and different movies, same title. It was part of a 4-movie disc that had 3 Indonesian flicks and a Hong Kong flick with the Godfrey Ho movie. So I actually ended up being pleasantly surprised by that disc. I was glad I ordered this one. I wasn't totally bummed that I ordered this by mistake, but I was bummed that the 1980 Out of the Blue wasn't available on Netflix. It's just sitting there on my queue, my saved queue. So kind of had mixed feelings about this movie. Can't really recommend it, and can't really say check it out. I just kind of stumbled across it by mistake. Ended up watching it since Netflix went through the trouble of sending it to me, and I didn't even realize that it was a mistake until after I watched it. So I'm going to check out the special features now, then I'll watch The Fall, maybe some Nymphomaniac Part 2. What else do I got going on? Some more Don White recommendations, maybe Poultrygeist or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, that's the end of my review. Laters.